Hello, everybody. I hope that you can see my screen. So let me just move some controls around. Yes, cool. Okay, so we have limited time, and that's why I decided that having that title wouldn't be very accurate. So we are going to try to add end-to-end tests in 20 minutes with Cypress. My name is Fran. I work for Amici Labs, and you can see there also my Drupal profile. The agenda for today, we need to bear in mind that it's just 20 minutes. So our main goal is taking an already existing Drupal site and start writing end-to-end tests. I didn't say Drupal 7, Drupal 8, I just said an existing Drupal site. So it's going to be a live demo format. I have videos as a fallback just in case things go wrong. But yeah, hopefully we get there. And I also have scripts to sort of automate a few things because I didn't want to start typing without enough time. We're going to do a blank site first, a very easy, silly blank site so that we know how Cypress is installed and how to write the first tests. Then we do a quick Drupal 7 integration, then a quick Drupal 8 integration with some more tests, and we'll briefly talk about a way forwards. It seems a lot to cover, but hopefully we will get there. So bear with me. And we'll start with the blank site. So I'm just creating a folder, an empty folder. I'm just creating a very simple index file. As you can see, just a link to the about page. And I'm also creating an about page. And then I'm just going to create a local server with the PHP built-in function. And then, as we all know, then that will be the resulting site. We can always polish a bit more. We can add small details if needed. The first test, well, first let's go into how to add Cypress before even installing the test. Adding Cypress to a project is as easy as that first line that you can see. There is the equivalent one for Yarn. It would be just npm install Cypress, and then it's a dev dependency, and then you are done. You have installed Cypress, so that means that you can start writing tests. So let's just create the very first one, and just following Cypress recommended folder structure. I just create a new file in Cypress, integrations, first test, and then we just write the test, which we're going to see in the next slide. Once we have written the tests, executing them would be as easy as running the binary for Cypress, and then with the option open, or most likely you will have the npx tool installed on your machine, and you can just run npx Cypress open, and then we can just click directly on the first test. It will look something like this, and as you can see, there are green lights, which is what we came here for. I will quickly show you the test that we wrote. It's very simple. Writing tests in Cypress, it's super easy. We just describe what the test is about, and describe is for a set of tests, and then with the it, we just write the individual tests. So in this case, our test is going to be, it goes to the about page. We're going to visit this localhost 2020, which we started before. Then we're going to look for an about link, and we're going to click it. As you can see, it's all very readable. And then we will just make sure that the URL should include about. And that is it. As I said, I've got a video just in case, but my idea was to do live demo. So let's go ahead and do it. That could be this blank site. While it runs, I will show you what it is. It's pretty much the same thing that I was showing in the slides. All this code will be available after the presentation. So we just create the blank site. We just create the files. We launch the server, we just create an empty package.json so that we can install Cypress. And we can see all that is kind of happening in the background. Okay, then we create the first test, which is just that one. we copy that test into the first test file. And then, as you can see, I just made it so that I need to hit enter. And right after I hit enter, it's gonna execute the next line that we see in here. So I'm just gonna hit intro, and then this is gonna open the Cypress test runner. We can see triggering it in there, and we can see my first test. And then I can just click on it, and it's launching Google Chrome, and it actually went super fast through it. But one of the coolest and cool things about Cypress is that you can go back in time. So you can go back to where you visited the home page, then it contains the about link. Then I actually click on it, and then Cypress tells me even the events that happen, and then it checks the URL that it has the about part in it. One of the cool things is that we can also ping version in time. And as we are talking about Google Chrome, we can open the developers extensions and we can inspect anything. We can check console messages. We can do all the kind of things that we normally can do. So on one hand, we have an automated test that can run as many times as we want, but we can also inspect and debug the code. So I wanted to do it in this blank site. Like there's no Drupal in it. And you could see how easy and quick was to really create the tests. It came down to really 2 lines. So one, install the npm package, then obviously creating the test, and then another one to run them. So having done this blank site, I think we're ready to move on into the Drupal 7 integration. We don't need to see the video now because it worked. That is great. Just checking. Yeah, the things are going as expected. Cool. There is no people complaining. So I will just carry on. Drupal 7 integration. Then, I mean, why am I doing blank site, Drupal 7, Drupal 8? So a little bit of context of me working for Amazing Lab. I work in the global maintenance team. And in that thing, we need to deal with a big number of sites. We work with many Drupal 7 sites, with many Drupal 8 sites. We're starting to work with Drupal 8 sites. We even have Drupal 6 back in the day. Now we're having also Gatsby. So on our team, many times, we just need to have a quick way to add tests to a site so that we can automate what we've done. And that's why now we're going to see with the Drupal 7 integration, the process is going to be really similar. So the key line, again, is going to be npm install Cypress. And then we are going to write a test for user registration. So in this case, user registration could be as simple as we go to the homepage. Then we look for the create new account link. We click on it, and we should be in the user register URL. Then in there, I literally go to the inputs and I can start typing stuff, which is pretty cool. So I target the input with name, and I just type my name, I type my email, and then I can even reproduce and enter so that it submits the form. And then after that, I'm gonna check that the resulting screen contains the word thank you. And that should tell me that I have successfully registered my user. Again, it was like demo, so there is the video fallback, but I prefer to do it on real time. So cool. So I'm launching the Drupal 7 site. Just quickly check it on the editor. The reason why it asks me the password is just because I was cleaning up the folder to make sure before I create it again. Yeah, in here we can check it. I'm just creating a folder. For this demo, I'm just using the Drupal 7 example available in Amazing.io, which uses Lagoon, and the supporting tool is Pygmy. But again, you can use any Drupal 7 site that you have. Then I'm launching it with Docker, and once I've launched it in Docker, I'm just running the default site install in there. So hopefully all that is happening in here, as you can see in the background. After that, I'm going to create the test where I'm obviously going to install the npm package. And I'm just going to do the test for register the user. And as we said, this is pretty much the same thing that I was putting in the slides. As I said before, this code will be available. I'm just going super quick because I'm aware of the time, but all this is going to be available in the repo. And then we create the test and we do exactly as we did before. We just run npx Cypress open and we are done. So as we can see, it is installing Cypress. I'm just downloading npm packages and all these kind of things. Let's give it. Here we go. Okay, cool. It just finished. So I'm just going to hit enter. And this should trigger exactly the same experience as before. Before it was a blank site, could be anything. And now we are actually having a Drupal site. So I'm going to click on this user register and see what happens. It opens the window. It opens the URL that this project is in. And as you can see, it's all going pretty quick. But again, the cool thing, I can go back in time. This is the homepage of a plain Drupal 7 vanilla installation. I'm going to look for the create new account link. I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to check that the URL is right. So step 1 of the test, green. Then I'm going to start searching for the input. I'm going to type Fran Garcia. I'm going to search for email. I'm going to type my email and hit enter. And then after that, we can see all the events happening and we can see that I get redirected to the home page with this thank you page. Again, remember, we could ping any version in time, trigger the inspector, inspect the element because it's all running on Google Chrome. So yeah, there is a huge advantage when it comes to debugging the own tests. Cool, so that was Drupal 7. I also wanted to do this as a reference to something I will say at the very end. We have 5 minutes left, but I think we are actually good with time. Let me just go back to the slides. Here we go. So we don't need to play the video. We can just go ahead. And now Drupal 8 integration. You can imagine, I think you know the drill by now. We've been for a long 10 minutes talking about it. So you can guess how this goes. We just installed Cypress and that's about it. We saw before that we needed to actually type the URL of the site that we're trying to test. It's not ideal when you are running like 100 tests on a site to need it to write every single time. It would be so ideal to do something like this or like this. And that's super easy with Cypress. All you need to do is just create a cypress.json file. And in there, you can add options that will be run and that will be taken for all the tests. In this case, we are just put the base URL as localhost 8888 so that we don't need to type it over and over and over. And in here, we are going to do 3 tests. Check that one page exists. Imagine that that page is super important for my site. We need to check that it's always available, that it's working. Then we also going to test quickly a language switcher, and we're going to test logging. And you can just get as creative as you want to the test. For this, I'm just using the Umami demo. How could I check that a page exists? Now I don't need to type the whole URL. I can just check the recipes link, clicking it, and then the URL should be recipes. The test could be as easy as that. How do I test a language switcher? I can just go to the link that says Español, click on it, and then just make sure that the URL contains ES. Then I'm going to go to the recetas link, which is the equivalent of the one we checked before. And I'm going to even check that it contains crema catalana, just because I like it. And it should be visible, so that could be the test. And then we're also going to check the login. So we could just go to the user, login, type username, type the high security password that I added in here. And then we could check that the URL is user1 and that the h1 actually contains admin. Let's see that in action again. Let's just run the Drupal 8 site. And where we have around 3 minutes, that should be enough. Hopefully. Here we go. Okay, I will show you the script while this is running. So the Drupal 8 I'm just using the official documentation for Drupal. So I'm just bringing the latest Drupal and just running, I'm compressing it into the folder. I'm also bringing drush. So I can just run the drush commands because I tried with the default settings, but it was crashing due to memory. So I'm just making sure that we have enough memory. I'm adding that URL, as I said, to the cypress.json file. I'm adding the Cypress library. And then in this case, because I was copying several tests, I just put them into this folder. And that's all I'm doing. I'm copying those assets into the right folder. And then I'm just installing the demo umami with that database. And we can see the account password. And then launching everything on localhost, and that should be it. So hopefully it is ready. It is great. And now we're going to see, again, we follow the same process, blank site, Drupal 7, Drupal 8 site. And now we have the 3 tests in here. So go to the recipes page. Remember, we can always go back in time with all this. And yeah, here we go. So it went there. I can go back in time, revisit the steps. I can trigger the change language test, which is pretty much what we saw before. It goes to the Espanol, clicks on it, checks the URL, then checks recetas, and checks that it contains crema catalana. And we can see how it goes into the part of the site that contains it, and then the login page. And we can see that there is the H1 containing admin, that the URL is what we expected. I could even run all the tests together. I don't need to run them one at a time. Okay, and this probably gives you ideas for the next slide. So as you can see, this is running all 3 tests. Cool, so let's go back to the slides. It all worked. I'm happy about that. I know it's 55, but I started 2 minutes late, so I'm going to take the liberty of taking those 2 minutes. What's the way forward? So just play with it. You have seen how easy to do it. The documentation is great. We can go into, we can think about CI integration. We can think about cross-browser testing. We can do things like visual testing. Okay, so you can do a lot of things. The documentation is great. And one of my main goals was for you all to see how easy to install it is. It's just a few lines. You're good. You're good. Literally, I was playing with one of the tests and I said, okay, what if I just test the Drupal Europe page? And I did it and it worked. So you are free to even test with existing sites. You don't even need to have a site. There is a Drupal 8 module. The only reason why I didn't use it is because I wanted to show a generic way to use it. But if you install this module, it will do all that we've done so far and add a few goodies. So I recommend it. It's only available for Drupal 8. And then just explore, try, and just, using how easy it is to get up and running. The code is available in my GitHub account, so it's just FJ Garling, and then in there you should find a repo which is DrupalCon Barcelona 2020, which is this one, and then you can see all the scripts that I've been running, like blank site, it's exactly the same that I've been showing. I've been working off that all the time, so there is also a link to the slides in here, so you have all the links that you might need in there. And I think that could be it. And Nick, are there any questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple for you here. So we've got one from Shreya, which is kind of related to one of your last points, and it's asking how we can automate Microsoft login, Google login, OpenID clients with Cypress. Can you please provide some references for this or any examples? So being able to kind of log in on a third-party site, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. As you have seen on the test, Cypress follows up the links, the chain of links. So it's an end-to-end test. So whatever happens in real life, if you get redirected to this or that, it will just try to do it. However, for things like, like external authentication, I just recommend to check the documentation because each provider could be different. Like we've been trying and playing with OAuth, and we had a few issues to do it via Cypress. So I don't know if in this case the Microsoft experience could be different or similar. So I really don't want to go into an unknown territory. I suggest that you check the documentation and see what's available for it.
Cool. Yeah, so talking about iframes within a page, testing those.
Good point. I mean, it's again, I would just ask you to refer to the documentation. I don't know if in this case you're asking to have interaction within outside the iframe or inside the iframe. I mean, if the iframe at the end is a URL, an external URL, so you could always do something like testing purely the iframe, like that URL of the iframe, and then do any test that you want within the iframe. But I don't know if in this case you're saying interacting outside and inside the iframe and these kind of things. As mentioned, I check documentation and have a go and play at it and play with it. I'm also gonna be reachable. I mean, you can also ping me in the booth. I'm just conscious that it's 10:59 and we can just we might just finish the session at any second. So feel free to reach out to me. I will stay also on here and see if I can see the questions and try to reply each one of them individually. But you can also talk to me in the booth. I don't know if we have maybe Nick one more quick one.
Yeah, sure. So Rodrigo asked, can you talk more about the Drupal integration? Does it include concepts such as create node with fields? So I guess more not on the front end, but yeah, back end admin kind of users, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we have done one of the tests, which is logging. And once you are in the logging, I mean, it's literally visiting URLs, having field names. So it listens for AJAX requests. So probably the most difficult part is to really find out what's the name of the input that we want to target. Sorry, let me just, yeah, like these kind of things. But we can, I mean, it follows up sessions and all these kind of things. We saw on the Drupal 8 tests that we were checking the logging, and at this point we are logging, so we could just literally go to the node, add URL, and then start adding nodes and all these kind of things. Cool. It's 11 o'clock, and sorry for the rush of time. We knew this from the beginning, but as I said, I will follow up on this now shortly, and you can reach out to me in the booth if you want. Sorry for the lightning speed, but I hope that it was good for everybody. Thank you.